Hey, and welcome to this week's live broadcast. I'm Anna Janetsky. We have a free live two-part workshop coming up. It's called 4 Steps to Resolve Outbursts with Your Deep Feeling Child. And I've been getting a lot of questions on calls with people who are registered for the workshop, and I'm in conversations with people in this group. And I thought this would be a good time and an opportunity. We're 1 week to go before the workshop. It's next week on Tuesday, Wednesday, the 16th and 17th of December. If you haven't registered yet, please do so. I will drop the link below. You're more than welcome. Save your spot. At a certain point, we'll hit capacity, but until then, we still have seats open. So today I'm going to share some things that people have been asking about, and I'm going to begin with sharing 6 signs that your child or your kiddo, your teen, is a deep feeling kiddo. So I'm going to start there with 6 signs to help you to recognize if your child is a deep feeling child. What does that mean? How to help them? And then a couple of questions that I've heard enough times that I'm going to comment and answer them, specific to deep feeling children and also kids that have more than one diagnosis. So being a deep feeling child is not a diagnosis in the DSM, to be clear. However, it is a incredible way of understanding. It is a lens to look through to understand your child. It also helps us to know what techniques and strategies are going to help them to develop those self-regulation skills, to be able to feel calm in their body, to be able to have a logical, reasonable conversation, and then ultimately be cooperative, follow directions, and take responsibility, right? What else is better as a mom than seeing our kids grow up and mature and be emotionally intelligent and responsible and able to hold their own, so they go into the world knowing how to navigate life. They're not dependent on us forever for answers or as an emotional crutch. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. And if you haven't thought that far ahead yet because you have a 5-year-old or a 7-year-old, trust me, it's coming. So let's start with the 6 signs. Okay, so let's go into these. You have a deep feeling child if, and I'm going to read my list to you. Number 1, they say everything is your fault. Everything is your fault. They blame quickly. They lash out. This is all your fault. Sounds like that. Teenagers get really good at this. If you have not established a system for having a better conversation, this is something that I've heard a lot of teens who are big feelers say to their parents. The second thing is deep feeling children will often say that this is terrible, or they act like this is not enough. What you're giving them, the food you've made them, the things that you're doing for them, it's not enough. It's not good enough. You're not good enough. None of this is working for me. My life is terrible. So a lot of extremes, a lot of intensity to the feeling, and just a general overall kind of yucking on everything you're doing. Now, as a parent, how does it feel? Tell me in the comments. For you, how does it feel when your kiddo acts like totally what you're doing is crap and it's not helpful? When kids are ungrateful like that, when they don't appreciate, we'll talk in the workshop about why they're doing that, but let's just keep it to the moment. When you're parenting a kiddo who's doing that to you, it feels completely insulting. It feels disrespectful. Makes you feel like, fine, I don't want to do anything for you. But let's face it, you're the mom, you're going to end up caving on that and coming back around and making their lunch or picking up their stuff off the floor or whatever it is that you typically do for them when they're under pressure or when they're upset. Even still, that pattern will continue. So you'll give and then they'll act like it's not good enough. That's the second sign. Third sign, they feel like you're asking too much of them. To ask them to do the basic things just feels totally overwhelming to them. Or they lash out at you when you ask them. They may say no or ignore you, but mostly the reason why is because they are getting emotionally overwhelmed. It's just too much. They can't do it. It's one more thing and they're already at capacity. That's what deep feeling kids will feel like. It's all too much, okay? You're not doing enough for them and it's too much for them. They're often melting down or boiling over at things that other kids do not have a hard time with. Other kids may feel grumpy about or may express annoyance about, but They don't melt down in the same ways. That's a deep feeling child trait. Okay, now here's the biggest one yet, number 4. Their mood affects everyone in the house. If you're mom and you're the only one in the house, then you're taking the whole brunt of it. If you have a house full of kids, family, everybody's going to feel it in some way, and everyone's going to be impacted and affected by it. And oftentimes, parents of deep feeling kids or anxious kids or highly sensitive kids will say to me, I don't think that these siblings are affected so much. It's mostly just me. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's not true. If there's a child in the house who's melting down, who's overwhelmed, who's having a boiling over, or who's having tantrums, everybody in the house is affected by that. You may feel it the most deeply, but it's absolutely true that everyone feels the energy of that. Okay, so how do you feel? Think about how you feel when you're wrapped up or sucked into your child's emotions. A lot of moms I work with feel things so deeply, and they can't separate from that. As a highly sensitive or empath mom, that would be you. It'd be really hard to separate what's yours and what's theirs, to know how to help them without feeling overwhelmed by their feelings. This is very typical for the clients who I help. When we learn to separate that, I teach people how to separate that and how to take emotional care of themselves so they can help their kids. Now we've got something to work with. But if you are swept up in what they feel, then you are going to have an impossible time trying to help them to regulate their emotions. Okay, mood affects the whole house. The number 5 is you feel like avoiding them. You may actually be avoiding them. You might be kind of hiding out in the kitchen or in your room or in your phone, because being around them when they have a negative mood or a low mood or are blaming you for things feels rotten. It feels heavy, and it feels really, really hard. And to be stuck in that will pull you down. It will strip you of your resources. It will deplete your energy. It will create tension in your relationship. And you may just wind up feeling like really irritable around your child because of them, even blaming them for your own mood, your life, your exhaustion. It is so exhausting to support a deep feeling kid without the right skills and tools. So that one. And then the last one, you're walking on eggshells at home, or your spouse is, your partners. You're walking on eggshells because you know that any moment this kid is going to melt down. You take them out in public and they're perfect. They're such great kids. They're amazing. They're bright. They have amazing time at school, and you get rave reviews from teachers. And then they get home, and man, it's so hard for transitions, going from playtime to bedtime routine, going to sleep, waking up, getting ready for school in the morning. If you have teenagers, it's getting them to follow through on their commitments. You know, if your kid is active in sports, oftentimes deep fillers will really go with their feelings. If they don't feel like going, then it's just meltdown city, or they don't want to, or they protest. And parents get like, you committed to this, so you need to do it. And then kid just winds up pushing back more, escalating more. So that can create a real cycle of walking on eggshells, tiptoeing around. You don't want to have the fight. You don't want to have the argument. You don't want your kiddo to not make the activity, or to have a full-on meltdown or isolate in their room. So you're just kind of tiptoeing around, not wanting to escalate things. And what's really happening is they're already escalated inside, and you're already escalated inside. So we're going to talk next week in the workshop, in the 2-part workshop, 4 steps to resolve outbursts with your deep feeling child, about how to de-escalate your child and how to have outcomes with your child where you're able to come to solutions together. There's cooperation. They're able to follow your directions. They're able to ultimately regulate their own emotions. You're not having to always be there and be the crutch. You're not having to absorb the brunt of what they feel. Because let's face it, moms, how much longer can you do it? How much longer can you take on and carry that burden of their big emotions that they don't know how to process. The older they get, the harder it gets, the bigger the problems. It's not a phase. They don't just shake it off one day and know how to regulate their emotions. And you also won't one day be able to shake this off and suddenly get your energy back. I've talked to so many moms, worked with so many moms who've been through years of holding their breath only to hit perimenopause and then be completely depleted of their mental resources as well as their emotional and physical ones. It's not a pretty time when you're in perimenopause and you have adolescence if you don't have a system for clear, clean communication and a kiddo who has emotional regulation skills. So I'm going to tell you all about that next week's sessions. You do have to register to secure a spot and get the Zoom links to join. We're going to be live on Zoom. A couple of questions that have come in. So some people have asked, my kid has ADHD, they have another diagnosis, or I know that they're highly sensitive. Does that mean they're automatically a deep feeling child? Are they dysregulated because they're a deep feeling child? The answer is no. So if you heard me talking about any of these things and it's like you're ticking yes, yes, yes as you hear me talking, then high likelihood your child is a deep feeling child. If you want a consult directly with me, go ahead and book a call. Once you register for the workshop, you will get that invitation. Book a call and I can help you to assess where you're at and your child's traits, temperament traits, and we can look at if they're really a deep feeling child. If your kiddo is diagnosed with ADHD or anxiety, there is a chance that they're also a deep feeling child. But are all ADHD diagnosed kids also deep feeling children? Is that why they're melting down? Is that what's definitely going on? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Are all kids who are deep feelers also highly sensitive? No, not necessarily. Those are two different things. A kid can be both. You could be both. You could be an empath, highly sensitive, and a deep feeling person. That can happen. Your kiddo can have that too. Some ADHD kids have trouble regulating their emotions for reasons due to their hardwiring and how they process information, and they're not deep feeling kids. Other kids who do have a diagnosis of anxiety or ADHD that are melting down, that are boiling over, that are feeling overwhelmed, unable to tell you how they feel or process it, or therapy hasn't worked, and they are absolutely deep feeling children who have not found the right skill set yet. So I really want to give a shout out to you if you are a mom to a child like that, to get your butt in the seat for this workshop, because I'm going to say things that probably no one else has said to you. You're going to learn about how the deep feeling child's brain works and how to help them to become the master of their own experience, their own bodies, learn how to relax in their bodies, and you are a key component to that. You don't have to do the work for them. You can't give them calm, but you can learn to become that emotional, regulated parent. You can embody that calm and then transfer that to your child. And it is so much faster and so much easier than continually trying to deal with this overwhelmed child. So it's so much easier. So I'm going to tell you all about that. I'm going to teach you about how I help my clients with this, and then you're going to book a call. You can have a free consult, and we can talk about your specific plan and way to help your child to have sustainable, steady, stable calm for themselves, to be able to regulate their emotions, to talk to you about what's going on, to be able to come to solutions on their own, which is what we need to give our kids. We don't need to give them a dependency on us, and deep feeling kids will absolutely hang on to you as long as they can to be their auxiliary nervous system, and that is not a solution, okay? The only solution is one that supports your child in processing through their own emotions and helps them to understand how to feel emotionally safe. So come on, I'm going to teach you all these things. Bring a friend, it's totally fine. And I can't wait to see you guys there. Check below in the comments for the links. Sign up now if you haven't already, and I'll see you next week. Bye, you guys.